The 5:30 p.m. agenda review session will begin now, followed immediately by the City Council meeting of January 22nd, 2025. We have approval of minutes from December 18th. Report of correspondence by City Clerk. We have no public hearings other than ordinances. We have ordinances on second reading. Number 1, an ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinances of the City of New Brunswick, Title 10, Vehicles and Traffic, Chapter 1020, Handicap Parking, Section 1020-010, Schedule 39, Parking Zones for Handicapped Persons. We're adding 259 Seaman Street. Number 2, an ordinance to approve a long-term tax exemption and financial agreement between the City of New Brunswick and NJ Innovation Associates Urban Renewal LLC for Helix H2, Block 1701, Lot 104. We have ordinances on first reading. Number 1, an ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinances of the City of New Brunswick, Title 3, Revenue and Finance, Chapter 328, Fee Schedule, Section 328-120, Parks and Recreation regarding updates. Number 2, an ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinances of the City of New Brunswick, Title 2, establishing Chapter 2.29, entitled Restricted Areas in Buildings where Municipal Operations are conducted, limited to authorized employees, only to protect and safeguard public records containing confidential information. We have number 3, an ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinances of the City of New Brunswick, Title 17, Zoning, Chapter 17.3, General Regulations regarding Section 1703-225, Outdoor Mechanical Equipment, Section 1705-020, Off-Street Parking Requirements. Number 4, an ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinances of the City of New Brunswick, Title 17, Zoning, Chapter 1706, Signage Requirements regarding Section 1706-060, Permitted Sign Regulation Table. Number 5, an ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinances of the City of New Brunswick, Title 16, Land Development Code, Chapter 1616, provisions applicable to both the Planning Board and Zoning Board of Adjustment regarding Section 1616-050, hearings. And number 6, an ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinances of the City of New Brunswick, Title 2, Administration and Personnel, Chapters 264, Department of Police, in regards to police extra duty rates for 2025 to 2028. Resolutions 1 to 60, except R012557, folded request from the Chief Financial Officer. Number 1, approve agenda amendments. 2, approve payroll. 3, authorize refund for redeemed tax sale certificates. 4, authorize tax collector to transfer overpayments on several tax and utility accounts. 5, authorize tax collector to cancel several tax sale certificates due to utility billing adjustments. Number 6, approve refund of planning application fee to P&M Fencing NJ LLC. Number 7, resolution to allow the City of New Brunswick to utilize the revised statutory budget deadline for calendar year 2025. Number 8, authorization to accept grant from County of Middlesex for a Code Blue Warming Center. Number 9, council designations of liaisons to various authority boards and commissions for 2025. 10, authorized professional service agreement with Charlie Gaden, ESQ Esquire, for 2025 Assistant City Attorney. Number 11, authorized professional service agreement with Hatfield Law Group LLC for Labor Council. 12, approve amendment of Resolution R102410, reason 1-year contract extension with InSync Municipal Systems doing business as First Bite Corporation for maintenance and support of city software. 13, approve amendment of Resolution R092318, reason additional amount of $10,065.68 with Baker and Taylor LLC, a subsidiary of BTAC Acquisition Group, for books purchased from a wholesale distribution for the New Brunswick Public Library. 14, Housing Authority Board appointment, named David Blevins, Resident Commissioner. 15, advising consent to municipal court, municipal prosecutors, and public defenders. Reappointments, municipal prosecutors, Robert Capoccio and Mark Silverman. Public defenders are Richard Vetch and James Harding. 16, approve resolution authorizing acceptance and execution of grant assignment with Middlesex County Office on Aging and Disability Services for information and assistance in Brunswick Senior Citizen Resource Center. 17, approve resolution authorizing acceptance and execution of grant agreement with Middlesex County Office on Aging and Disability Services for congregate meals, New Brunswick Senior Center. 18, approve resolution authorizing acceptance and resolution of grant agreement with Middlesex County Office on Aging and Disabled Services for public awareness, New Brunswick Senior Citizen Resource Center. Number 19, approve award of contract with Concept Printing Incorporated, doing business as Concept Print, for printing and binding of various forms in the municipal court. Number 20, authorize award of professional service agreement with Arthur R. Michael Jr. Esquire of the law firm of Avenese, McDermott, and Maestro and Murphy for special counsel for the year 2025 in the New Brunswick Police Department. Number 21, approve rejection of bid and authorization to rebid for 2025 industrial waste analysis. 22, approve award of contracts for furnish and deliver by 2 minutes materials for the Department of Public Works and Water Utility, specification number 32624P, with Trap Rock Industries and with Stavola Asphalt Company. 23, authorize a professional service agreement with Professional Property Appraisers Incorporated for 2025 Property Inspection Services, Division of Assessments, rebid specification 31825 RFB. 24, approve amendment to resolution R122467, the reason extend contract for 1 additional year with French and Perello Associates, PA, for consulting engineering services. 25, authorize reimbursement to multifamily properties owners for trash and recyclables for the year 2024. Number 26 has been pulled. Number 27, advise and consent to rent control board appointment, Michael Patrick. 28, approve award of contract with Environ Systems Research, doing business as S3 Inc. for a maintenance and support contract for proprietary software for GIS development software application for the Division of Assessments. 29, authorized purchase by the Department of Public Works on the New Jersey State Approved Co-op number 65, MCESCCS, the Educational Services Commission of New Jersey pricing system from Mohawk Lifts LLC. 30, approve amendment of resolution R122436, additional amount of $68,927.05 for the Department of Engineering with B&W Construction Company of New Jersey Incorporated for equipment and labor. 31, award professional service agreement to McMenamin, Scotland and Bowman LLC for 2025 conflict attorney for Planning Board and Zoning Board of Adjustment. 32, approve award of contract with Show and Tell Media LLC. 33, approve award of contract with Nearmap US Incorporated. 34, authorize professional service agreement with DeFrancesco Bateman PC for 2025 special counsel for tax appeals and the conflict division of assessments. Number 35, authorize professional service agreement with Civil Solutions, a division of Adams, Riemann, and Hagen Associates Incorporated, 2025 GIS and Tax Map Maintenance Service, Division of Assessments. 36, authorize professional service agreement with BRB Valuation and Consulting Services, LLC, for 2025 Real Property Appraisal Services for Tax Appeals, Division of Assessments. 37, authorized professional service agreement with Hoagland Longo Moran Dunstan Lucas, LLP, 2025 Special Counsel for Tax Appeals, Division of Assessments. 38, authorized professional service agreement with Spatial Data Logic, Inc. for 2025 maintenance and support services for municipal software, the GIS Program, Division of Assessments. 39, authorized professional service agreement with BRT Technologies, LLC, for a 2025 tax assessment, computer program, and technical support, and associated printing, binding, and mailing services, Division of Assessments. 40, authorized professional service agreement with McManaman, Scotland and Bowman, LLC, for 2025 bond counsel. 41, authorized professional service agreement with InSync Municipal Systems, doing business as First Bite Corporation, for 2025 tax, water, and sewer building and collection, software maintenance, and software support services. 42, authorized professional agreement with Mott McDonald Group Incorporated, doing business as Mott McDonald LLC, for 2025 engineering and support services for the water utility, specification number 30825 RFP. Number 43, authorize professional service agreement with Samuel Klein and Company for the 2025 municipal auditor. 44, approval of the contract with Prime Point LLC for 2025 municipal payroll services. 45, approval award of contract with Edmunds GovTech Incorporated for 2025 proprietary software maintenance agreement for the finance department. 46, authorize professional service agreement with Phoenix Advisors LLC for 2025 continuing disclosure agent for services as required by the Securities and Exchange Commission. 47, approve release of performance guarantee and escrow and deposit to Tolero and Mendez Construction LLC for sidewalk permit number 17375. 48, approve relaxation of city noise and lane closure requested by Pike Construction Company LLC for new construction of Sterling Side residence at 50 Nielsen Street. 49, approve relaxation of the city noise ordinance requested by J.R. Prisco Incorporated. The reason, crane placement at 71 Dudley Road to load new HVAC equipment onto the rooftop and removing the old one. 50, approve award of contract with Blue Environmental Services, with Bay Hill Environmental, with Side by Side, Moreau LLC, and with Whitman for lead inspection consultant. 51, authorized professional service agreement with French Perillo Associates PA for engineering site inspections for approved site plans and capital projects. 52, approve authorization to rebid for furnish and deliver food products for the Senior Citizen Resource Center. 53, authorize professional service agreement with Robert Wood Johnson Physician Enterprise PA for 2025 physician services. 54, approve award of contract with Clean Air Company for proprietary maintenance agreement for the fire department. 55, authorize participation in a cooperative purchasing program. There is a cooperative purchasing alliance. 56, approve Title 39 agreement between FDDJ Joyce Gilmer, owner LP, and the City of New Brunswick for New Brunswick Police Department's enforcement of motor vehicle and traffic regulations. 57, appointment of counsel, name Michelle R. Donato Esquire for Board of Ethics Council. 58, award professional service agreement with Becknell Planning Consultants Incorporated for the 2025 review of site plans and subdivisions, planning review. 59, approve authorization to advertise, to furnish and deliver two 2024 or newer Ford Maverick XL all-wheel drive or equivalent for the water utility. Number 60, award professional service agreement to French and Perillo Associates to Delaware Raritan Engineering Incorporated for the 2025 conflict engineering for review of site plans and subdivisions engineering preview. That's it. Just getting started. We will have public comment or items for discussion by council. Public comment, dates to remember. The next agenda review is February 5th, and the city council meeting starts right after that. Okay.
Councilmember Escobar is absent. Councilmember Ferguson.
Present.
Councilmember Fleming.
Here.
Councilmember Gaskin.
Here.
Councilmember Secor Ludwig.
Here.
Council Vice President Castaneda.
Here.
Council President Anderson.
Here. Please be advised that the notice requirements of the Open Public Meeting Act have been complied with and satisfied, and that the annual notice, which gave sufficient notice of the time and place and conduct of all public meetings for the Municipal Council of the City of New Brunswick, has been filed with the City Clerk, has been placed on a appropriate bulletin board in City Hall, and has been transmitted to the official newspaper of the City of New Brunswick, namely the Home News. Would you please stand for aid?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would you join me in a moment of silence for our men and women in our armed forces, for our fire, police, first responders, EMTs. This past Monday, as we celebrated Martin Luther King Jr. Day, let's try and remember some of the philosophies, some of the ideals that he tried to have.
Council Vice President Castaneda.
Yes.
Council President Anderson.
Yes. Madam Clerk, has the correspondence been directed to the appropriate departments?
Yes, Council President, the correspondence received by the City Clerk's Office was forwarded to the appropriate departments for further action.
Thank you. We have no public hearings. We have ordinances for discussion on second reading. We'll start with number 1, an ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinances of the City of New Brunswick, Title 10, Vehicles and Traffic, Chapter 1020, Handicap Parking, Section 1020-010, Schedule 39, Parking Zones for Handicapped Persons. We're adding 259 Seaman Street. Any of my fellow council members have any questions or comments about that one? All right, preparing to open up the public hearing on the ordinance only. You have up to 5 minutes. Please, one time up, please give your name and address for the record. Please start. This is for the adding 259 Seaman Street only.
Hello, City Council. My name is Alina Chekhnov. I live here in Brunswick on Delavan Street. First, I want to acknowledge the importance of expanding accessibility. All of us have or will one day experience disability. We have many disabled folks in the city, along with a sizable senior population. Accessibility is a fundamental part of how we navigate this city. So I want to state that I hope that this is only the beginning. As a resident of New Brunswick, I want to be sure that we are planning our city, keeping in mind the barriers that our disabled neighbors face in navigating their streets, the bus system, our MJ Transit, and the sidewalks. Disabled writers and activists often talk about how disability is treated as an afterthought rather than an inherent part of urban planning. While we are making progress with the addition of new handicap parking spaces, other decisions made by the city this year have negatively impacted disabled residents. The removal of benches from our downtown bus stop.
You have to keep it towards.
Sorry?
You have to keep it towards the individual ordinance of 259 Seaman Street. Others wait for public comment.
Okay. The lack of accessible pathways throughout the city also reflects the assumption that everyone has a car and is able to drive. Imani Barbaran, a contemporary disability advocate, states, "We don't exist in the margins because we choose to. We're pushed there by policy and society." Has this city engaged with disabled residents to identify their needs and priorities? Was there a meaningful consultation process to determine whether adding a parking spot at this location truly addresses their greatest concerns? Advocacy must go beyond tokenism. It must center the voices of those it claims to serve. From the outside, it seems there are many ways the city can respond to disabled residents' demands that would have a greater impact on their everyday experiences navigating the city than the addition of a handicap parking spot. This highlights a disconnect in how we prioritize public resources and funding. While adding a handicap parking space is necessary, why aren't we equally committed to making sure that benches are available at bus stops? Many disabled
Please,
residents.
just 259.
Okay. True accessibility means creating a city that welcomes everyone, not just drivers, but pedestrians, transit riders, and those who navigate our streets in wheelchairs or with canes. I urge the council to use this ordinance as a starting point, not an end point. Let this be the beginning of a broader accessibility audit for New Brunswick. Engage with disabled residents to understand their lived experiences and prioritize their needs. Advocate for comprehensive changes that address public transportation, housing, and public spaces, ensuring that accessibility is woven into the fabric of our city. Second, let's reject the notion that accessibility is an act of charity rather than a fundamental right. By investing in accessibility, we don't just serve disabled residents, we build a city that reflects our collective humanity and commitment to justice. We can strive for a city that goes beyond minimum requirements and bare minimums. We all live in New Brunswick together and have an equal stake in how we live, the quality of our streets and parks and transportation. Let's listen to one another and strive for transformative inclusion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name's Alexander Vargas. I live also on Delvin Street. Tonight we discuss ordinance proposed 012501, a measure to add a handicap parking zone at 259 Seaman Street. This step reflects an acknowledgement of the importance of accessibility for disabled residents. But as we take this step, we must ask, is it enough? Are we truly addressing the barriers faced by disabled members of the community? Or are we offering a narrow solution that doesn't go far enough? Mia Mingus, a disability justice advocate, reminds us that access is not about compliance, it's about love. It's about deep work of creating justice and equality. This ordinance, while important, is not deep work that has love. Adding a parking spot is just a start, but justice requires us to consider the broader context. What about residents who rely on public transportation? What about those who cannot afford a car?
Again, just keep it towards 259 Seaman Street, save the others for the public comment, please.
Yeah, I prepared a statement and it's related.
You can have that on the public comment, so you can get up again at that time also.
Okay. Let me double check to see if my points are sufficiently on task for this moment. So, So, accessibility must extend beyond parking spots to include housing, transportation, public spaces, and infrastructure. New Brunswick must commit to comprehensive change, not just incremental adjustments. I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, yes, Danielle Moore. I have to say, due to where as a resident of 48 years, New Brunswick born and raised, I haven't been seeing this many handicap parking spots being addressed due to where basically, I will say, basically on every block now. But my point is not against 259 Seaman Street. My speech is where, due to where I say as many handicap spots am I seeing placed up, it's mainly because New Brunswick is overpopulated. You have so many people with 5 vehicles and 1 house, and that's the purpose that I'm seeing on a regular basis coming down here for handicap parking. Like I said, I'm on disability too. I know this. I speak for disabled, but like I said, the real issue is it's just hard to park. And like I said, that's because New Brunswick is just overpopulated. I'm not speaking against the resident prepares. I hope that to prove that they get what they want. But like I said, the way I'm seeing with so many handicap parking spots being placed on almost every street, that's because for you to really realize, like I said, 4 to 5 vehicles in a house, it's just hard to park anywhere. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else on that ordinance? Seeing none?
Move the ordinance.
Second.
Councilmember Ferguson,
Yes.
Councilmember Fleming,
Yes.
Councilmember Gaskins,
Yes.
Councilmember Secor Ludwig,
Yes.
Council Vice President Castaneda,
Yes.
Council President Anderson.
Yes. Number 2 is an ordinance to approve a long-term tax exemption and financial agreement between the City of New Brunswick and New Jersey Innovation Associates Urban Renewal, LLC, for the Helix H2, Block 1701, Lot 104. Do any of my fellow council members have any questions or comments?
I do. I'd like to make a comment.
Sure.
This project brings a world-class corporation into the heart of New Brunswick with an immediate impact of over 1,200 temporary jobs and approximately 1,000 long-term careers upon completion. It will boost the economic viability of our businesses and bring stability to the community at large through revitalization, facilitation of growth, and an overall positive impact on the surrounding area. A project otherwise not financially feasible without a pilot agreement in place. The agreement requires payments on a quarterly schedule with a yearly audit report. The lot currently serves as a staging area with no tax base. The first year of this agreement will bring no less than $1.75 million, but expected to be approximately $1.58 million, with 5% going to the county. The agreement is calculated on a step-up basis over 30 years as follows. 1 through 15, the greater of $5 per rentable square foot or 10.75% of gross income. Years 16 to 21, $6.98 per rentable square foot, that's 10.75% of gross income or 20% of the tax otherwise due. Years 22 to 27, $7.98 per rentable square foot or 10.75% of gross income or 40% of the taxes otherwise due. Years 28 through 29, $9.12 of rentable square foot or 10.75% of gross income or 60% of the taxes otherwise due, whichever is greater. And year 30, $9.58 per rentable square foot or 10.75% of gross income and 80% of the taxes otherwise due. I cannot emphasize enough the importance and the magnitude of this project moving forward and the fiduciary responsibility we have to boost the economic impact and bring a project like this into our city.
Anyone else? Okay, we're preparing to open up the public hearing on the ordinance only for up to, again, 5 minutes. One person up, one time. At this time, any members of the public wish to speak to this ordinance, please approach the, give your name and address for the record. We appreciate it. Yes.
Hello, it's Alina again, Delavan Street. And this tax exemption is about more than just finances and urban planning. It touches on transparency, on gentrification, and all of our lives here in New Brunswick, and about the kind of city that we want to build and live in. Councilwoman Escobar mentioned that this city council operates on a consensus model, and I believe that that is a undemocratic process. There should be room for debate, and this ordinance is far from uncomplicated. The tax exemption proposed here shows us the consequences of this undemocratic process. We don't know, for example, how long the exemption will be active, and how can we trust that this decision serves the people of New Brunswick when it's being made without the public weighing in. Additionally, I'd like to make a note on gentrification, which is not just a byproduct of developments like this, it is their goal. These developments divide our city into those who can afford to stay and those who are pushed out, replaced by wealthier newcomers who reap the benefits of our community's labor and culture. This tax exemption rewards those who are bringing higher rents into this city and making our working class neighbors' lives more precarious. And what of the international ties of this project? Helix H2 is connected to Tel Aviv University, an institution with deep ties to the state of Israel and to systems of apartheid and oppression in Palestine. By aligning ourselves in partnership with Tel Aviv University, we are taking a stance in support of Israel's war on terror on the Palestinian people. We cannot claim to stand for justice locally if we ignore justice globally, and what happens in Palestine reverberates here and vice versa. To close, decisions made without transparency, debate, or accountability are not democratic, they are autocratic. A model of governance that prioritizes efficiency over democracy is a betrayal of the people it claims to serve. Tonight, I call on this council to reject this tax exemption unless it comes with enforceable community benefit agreements. Agreements that guarantee affordable housing, living wage jobs, and investments in public services. I call on this council to commit to transparency, to disclose the full terms of this exemption, and allow the people of New Brunswick to weigh in. And I call on this council finally to abandon the consensus in favor of one that prioritizes vigorous public debate. Thank you.
Thank you.
Did I say something, Council President?
I did say this is a 30-year agreement. This is H2. This is going to be the headquarters of Nokia. It has nothing to do with the H1 project that you were speaking about with those other partners.
Go ahead, sir.
Name's Alex Vargas. I just wanted to clarify that point. So which part of the Helix complex is this tax exemption going to apply to?
H2.
H2, right? As in the second building out of the 3?
Correct. I believe that's
Okay.
right. Dominguez?
That's correct, although the third one hasn't been approved or come to the board yet. But yes, it's the second building. That's not been started yet.
Thank you.
And which developments are going to be a part of that? Is that specifically commercial building?
H2.
H2? Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Dominguez.
I'm sorry, someone was asking that question. Can you repeat?
The H2, who's going to be involved?
So H2 is supposed to be the headquarters of Nokia Bell Labs and probably like a little cafe on the bottom, but that's, the whole building is for them, for Nokia Bell Labs only.
Okay, so why is it that we are, do we think that Nokia is a company that is unable to pay their taxes? It's purely an incentive for them to come in? What is the justification is long-term, they're going to be here? I think we're kind of leaving a lot of money on the table when it comes to tax revenue here.
I think it's definitely an incentive for them to change from where they were in Murray Hill to New Brunswick.
Okay. And without that incentive, we are concerned that they would not relocate here?
That's correct.
Okay, so do we have any other potential buyers that are willing to move into the space?
Not to my knowledge, Mr. Dominguez.
I'm unaware of anybody.
Okay, I think I'd like to highlight that this is an incredibly valuable piece of real estate at the center of downtown New Brunswick, incredibly accessible to all of the Northeast Corridor on transit, and I think we should reconsider the value that this space is going to provide, and I think we shouldn't give an extreme tax break up front to whoever's willing to move in, because I think we, as community members, we want to collect as much revenue as we can for the city, and I think we shouldn't be so quick to give up such a good amount of tax revenue. And I think that it's when we're talking about temporary jobs, are we only referring to, what are we referring to? Is that only people who would work on construction projects? What, do we have like a breakdown of that?
Mr. Dominguez?
I believe he's referencing the information that Ms. Cora Ludwig mentioned, but the temporary jobs are the construction-related jobs. I think it was 1,200 temporary jobs and 1,000 permanent jobs once the building's open.
That's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Yes, ma'am. Name and address for the record.
My name is Brian Peng. I live in Piscataway on a little bit off of River Road, right across the river. I'm sorry I'm not very articulate right now, but I just can't seem to wrap my head around why government on all levels, it seems these days, are allergic, in a word, to taxing the rich. I think it's always confusing to me when the people who can afford to pay the most have the least asked of them, where everyone else is feeling the squeeze. They just kind of roll over and show our bellies a little bit, hoping that they'll rain down tax money for public works in other ways. And I think for-profit entities have no incentive or desire to do that. I think if you can tax them outright, it will certainly yield more for public coffers and important public projects such as schools and infrastructure than if we ask them to sort of voluntarily give what they have, which is not their model, right? They're for-profits. And I think the whole thing of like, oh, it'll revitalize, I think that lack of vitality is kind of a nebulous concept that I don't think is really what we're struggling with in this city. I think lack of affordability, lack of access to resources, not just like in terms of disability access to space, but also like, we can't afford to, like, how do I say it? I'm sorry. We can't afford to build a public school that's not on an asbestos dumping ground here, but will even, I'm still salty about the closing of the Lincoln Annex, I'm sorry. And I'm a little beyond words, I'm sorry. But I think just gentrification is another thing that I'm concerned about, because when we use all this space and all this opportunity to build what people actually need, I mean, instead of use it to like just develop technology that most people will never be able to access for cost reasons. Like what good does that do really to most of us? It's great to like cure cancer, but then like if you're giving children asbestos poisoning and you have a higher rates of cancer as a result, is that a net benefit really? Things like that. You're looking at me like I have two heads, I apologize, I'm a little bit awkward right now. But in short, I just want to tax the rich. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Council. Charlie Pratt, Building Brunswick and Brunswick Today. Two questions on this. It was mentioned Nokia Bell Labs will be relocating to this site. Will they rent the facility, or will they be the owner? Are they New Brunswick 2 Urban Renewal Associates LLC? Who's actually going to own it? What's the arrangement?
Mr. Dominguez?
I think there's some sort of complex ownership, rental layering. I think there's one entity that owns the building and then one entity that's going to rent it. So kind of both in a way.
Okay. Well, I guess my concern is born out of past history here. How do we make sure this doesn't turn into like the fresh grocer, right? If Nokia says they're moving in, they move in, they're there for a couple years, and they decide to move somewhere else, or they have a bad financial situation, they close up. What's the assurance that they'll be there for any period of time? Are they committing to rent for a certain amount of years, or to stay for a certain amount of years? What are they in for?
Well, in for their company, just like there are some other developments have been pretty good around here. Anything else, Mr. Dominguez?
Sorry. You got it.
Or
Are you related to the project?
I am related to the project.
I guess.
your name?
I'd be happy to yield the floor if somebody has answers.
I'm David Welch. I'm with SJP Properties, one of the partners in the development.
All right, Mr. Cradible, is this okay?
I'd be happy to hear from you. Go ahead.
So Nokia, first off, they're going to invest $350 million into your community. And they've signed a 20-year lease with 2 10-year renewal options on top of that. They're moving out of an obsolete facility in Berkeley Heights, where they occupied the space for the last 90 years. And it just physically is not conducive to the new technology and the new research that they want to do. You know, they're partnering with both Rutgers and with Princeton on academic arrangements to increase their research. And they've made as big a commitment to this community in this project, and it will be their world headquarters of their research arm for Nokia Bell Labs. And it's a continuation of the Bell Labs that is been the research engine for New Jersey. And so they're here to bring that technology, and have a facility that can accommodate today's world-class research.
Will they be partnering with Tel Aviv?
Thank you. Mr. Cradible?
Yeah, if I could just ask through you, Mr. Chair, a quick follow-up. The $350 million number we heard, what does that represent? Is that the construction cost of the building plus the payments in lieu of taxes, or where do we get $350 million from? Where's that money going?
Yes, Mr. Wolf.
The overall project is actually $525 million. The landlord is investing, 210. The additional monies, and that's all just for the construction cost. Again, as I said, Nokia signed a 20-year lease that, has substantial, it's more than their investment is their 20-year lease obligation. So it is a long-term commitment and a huge investment both today as well as over the next 20 years.
Thank you.
Thanks for that. And I'll just, say that, I think it's good that we're having this dialogue here, and I think this type of thing should happen for every time you consider something like this. I have concerns about long-term tax exemptions regardless of what the project is, because the money bypasses the school system. So all those numbers that Councilwoman Sikora Ludwig said, 95% of the money goes to city government, 5% goes to the county, and the schools here get nothing. So unlike traditional taxes where the school system gets as much as 40 or 50%, sometimes even more in other communities, we're not going to see any dollars go into the school system. So I wanted to ask your thoughts about that, and if you're comfortable asking, for a share to go to the schools.
No, thank you. Time is up at this time, and it is what it is.
You're in charge. You have the chance to change it. That's why I'm speaking.
Yes, next.
April Nicholas, 143 City Street. I actually had that on my list to ask about as well, as the concern that the pilot agreement does not provide any additional resources to our school system, while at the same time allowing large developments that will, inevitably place an increased burden on our school system. So, can you address the question asked by the previous speaker?
Well, we'll have to, we have a lot of shared agreements with the Board of Education and stuff like that, so I'm sure, the revenue that comes into New Brunswick kind of deal, it helps everybody.
Council President?
Mr. Drillis, is it all right, Mr. Drillis, answer your question, Nick?
I'm not quite sure how much property tax is coming off of these current empty dirt lots for our school board. But I can tell you, as New Brunswick has been doing long-term tax exemptions for quite some time, and we're starting to see these older ones come onto the books, and the value of those properties, because they've been improved and they've been in the communities, is more than covering any amount of education dollars that if property were to have remained that way for 30 years. So I think no matter how you stack the numbers, the Board of Ed will see some revenue and success over time.
Right, I think the overtime point is part of the concern. If the school system is seeing increased burdens from more people moving here because it is a great place to live, there's a lot going on, then there will be more children that are in the school system, and that will require more resources immediately. And it is great to have the long-term thinking of benefits that will pay off and be seen by the school system in 20 or 30 or 50 or 70 years, but if the burdens are increasing in the term of more like 1 or 2 or 5 or 10 years, that doesn't immediately help.
If there's anything in that lease that would have children or any other items that would impose on the school board in the note of the building.
Right.
We spoke it's a 20-year, maybe 30-year lease.
Yes, and to be clear, the example that I gave is if you, I assume the intention is that if you have great companies that are moving into this area, that will attract more people to want to be here and live here. And if that's the case, probably some of the people will have children, because that's something people often do. So I understand that in many of the pilot agreements, we're talking about housing developments, and that's obviously a much more direct concern, but I hope you can understand. I know, I'm recognizing that, and I've already explained the distinction. So my concern still stands, and the concern of the previous speaker also still stands based on the information provided thus far. I also want to ask, it was brought up by one of the earlier speakers about enforceable community benefits agreement and the concern that there is not one for this project. I want to ask, is there any form of community benefits agreement for this project? If so, what are the details? And if not, was that part of the conversation?
Mr. Dominguez?
So I'm not completely clear on these facts, so I want to reserve the right to be wrong about this, but I feel pretty confident about it. My understanding is that this project is receiving Aspire funding from the state, and as a requirement of that, there will be a related community benefits agreement. It just hasn't happened at this point yet, but it'll be a requirement as part of their funding that they're receiving through the state.
So it will be required sooner or later.
Yes.
Thank you.
Do we know what the terms of that are likely to be?
I don't have any information on that.
Not at this time.
And that does seem, like an important component of the conversation to understand the terms of what community benefits might come from this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other different person? Seeing none?
Move the ordinance.
Second.
Councilmember Ferguson. Councilmember Fleming.
Yes.
Councilmember Gaskin.
Yes.
Councilmember Secor Ludwig.
Yes.
Council Vice President Castellano.
Yes.
Council President Anderson.
Yes. We have ordinances now on first reading. Number one, an ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinances of the City of New Brunswick, Title III, Revenue and Finance, Chapter 328, Fee Schedule, Section 328-120, Parks and Recreation, in regards to updates.
Move the ordinance setting down Wednesday, February 5th, 5:30 PM, same date to be advertised.
Second. Councilmember Ferguson.
Yes.
Councilmember Fleming.
Yes.
Councilmember Gaskin.
Yes.
Councilmember Secor Ludwig.
Yes.
Council Vice President Castellano.
Yes.
Council President Anderson.
Yes. First reading, number two, an ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinances of the City of New Brunswick, Title II, establishing Chapter 229, entitled Restricted Areas in Buildings Where Municipal Operations Are Conducted, limited to authorized employees only, to protect and safeguard public records containing confidential information.
Move the ordinance setting down Wednesday, February 5th, 5:30 PM, same date to be advertised.
Second. Councilmember Ferguson.
Yes.
Councilmember Fleming.
Yes.
Councilmember Gaskin.
Yes.
Councilmember Secor Ludwig.
Yes.
Council Vice President Castellano.
Yes.
Council President Anderson.
Yes. Number three is an ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinances of the City of New Brunswick, Title 17, Zoning, Chapter 1703, General Regulations regarding Section 1703-225, Outdoor Mechanical Equipment, and Section 1705-020, Off-Street Parking Requirements.
Move the ordinance setting down Wednesday, February 5th, 5:30 PM, same date to be advertised.
Second. Councilmember Ferguson.
Yes.
Councilmember Fleming.
Yes.
Councilmember Gaskin.
Yes.
Councilmember Secor Ludwig.
Yes.
Council Vice President Castellano.
Yes.
Council President Anderson.
Yes. Number four is an ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinances of the City of New Brunswick, Title 17, Zoning, Chapter 1706, Signage Requirements in regards to Section 1706-060, Permitted Sign Regulations Table.
Move the ordinance setting down Wednesday, February 5th, 5:30 PM, same date to be advertised.
Second. Councilmember Ferguson.
Yes.
Councilmember Fleming.
Yes.
Councilmember Gaskin. Yes. Councilmember Secor Ludwig.
Yes.
Council Vice President Castellano.
Yes.
Council President Anderson.
Yes. Another one on first reading is number five, an ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinances of the City of New Brunswick, Title 16, Land Development Code, Chapter 16.16, provisions applicable to both Planning Board and Zoning Board of Adjustment in regards to Section 16.16.050 in regard to hearings.
Move the ordinance setting down Wednesday, February 5th, 5:30 PM, same date to be advertised.
Yes. Second. Councilmember Ferguson.
Yes.
Councilmember Fleming.
Yes.
Councilmember Gaskin. Yes. Councilmember Secor Ludwig.
Yes.
Council Vice President Castellano.
Yes.
Council President Anderson.
Yes. And number six, an ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinances of the City of New Brunswick, Title II, Administration and Personnel, Chapter 2.64, Department of Police, in regards to police extra duty rates for 2025 to 2028.
Move the ordinance setting down Wednesday, February 5th, 5:30 PM, same date to be advertised.
Second. Councilmember Ferguson.
Yes.
Councilmember Fleming.
Yes.
Councilmember Gaskin.
Yes.
Councilmember Sephora.
Yes.
Council Vice President Castellano.
Yes.
Council President Hughes.
Yes. We now move to resolutions. We have resolutions 160, except that was pulled by the Chief Financial Officer. Do any of my fellow council members have any questions or comments on these resolutions? Mr. Drulis, would you tell us about number 8, the authorization to accept the grant? Code Blue?
President, members of council, my pleasure. The administration, with the support of the city council, is operating the city's Code Blue homelessness programs in accordance with the rules that govern these activities, and in many cases providing services beyond the requirements to benefit the entire New Brunswick community. Notwithstanding the guidelines of the statutes and regulations regarding the issuance of services for the homeless within and beyond the city's limits, the city continues to provide the same level of care, regardless of race, gender, age, family status, residence, emotional and/or mental capacity. New Brunswick is the only 211 listed site for Middlesex County that welcomes guests without restriction or screening in the essence of providing emergency shelter to those in need. Code Blue operates at Unity Square, 81 Remsen Avenue currently. It activates at 32 degrees when called by a county OEM. Under the Code Blue program, county emergency management coordinators are required to declare a Code Blue alert within 24 hours to the onset of a severe weather event. Upon the declaration of a Code Blue alert, the county emergency management coordinators informed each municipal law enforcement agency, the county, as well as other county police departments, if appropriate, of the need to identify and locate at-risk individuals who may be in need of shelter. 36 Code Blue events have been called, including the most recent severe weather pattern, including January 21st and 24th. The average number of guests are approximately 24 per Code Blue event. Cots, blankets are provided. The program is fully staffed at every event. Our program includes a laundering service for the linens, cleaning service for the facility. The municipal homeless outreach team intake program is there as well. We're currently working with other community partners like Rob Ward Johnson Barnabas Health Community and other healthcare providers around these Code Blue events. NICS alerts are announced for every Code Blue. Signage is displayed on school outdoor displays, the NBPAC outdoor display, the city's website, social media pages, tap into New Brunswick 211 website, and several of our partner platforms. The grant is for $151,000. Of that cost, it breaks out approximately for $77,000 for personnel, $26,000 for what we generally term as other expenses to support the program. There has $23,000 in facility improvements and upgrades, and $25,000 for repairs as a result of use and some vandalism. This is not inclusive of the costs that are put upon the city administration, employees, public safety division. These are just the costs that are reimbursed back to this grant. This does not include the in-kind costs for the regular upkeep and maintenance of the facility. All this is well over another $100,000 to the city's budget. The public
The Lady Riley Act, you knew the House was going to be voting on it. They have passed it.
There's been some discussion regarding, in public comment regarding Code Blue at the recent meetings, and the public comment portion of the city council meeting is one of the many avenues that the public, of course, can engage their comments with the local leaders. But I would suggest that the city's monthly municipal homelessness prevention roundtable is another great place, or maybe one of the best places for the public to participate. Should they be interested in commenting or sharing information with these programs. The next meeting will be held in this council chambers at 10:30 on the 29th. And the meeting happens the last Wednesday of every month. The public roundtable members alike have the opportunity to meet and engage with all the city providers, both city officials and outside agencies. And that is facilitated by Mr. Jones, our department head, with the intention of informing, sharing, and problem solving. I'm glad to answer any other questions you may have about the Code Blue program and this grant.
Thank you very much. Resolution 43, authorizing a professional service agreement. Mr. Mulron.
Mr. Mulron, unfortunately, had a family emergency. Item 43 is authorized professional service agreement with Samuel Klein and Company. As a requirement of our municipal finance rules, the city files an audit every year. The audit that for the 2025 audit will report on 2024 activities. Samuel Klein has been the auditor for the city for many years. They audit our funds, the current funds, the grant funds, our utilities, etc. All the audits are available online. If the public has any question about the audits, they should please go online and they should ask. The firm is very well known. They received their award through a public process, a fair and open RFP process.
Has the city of New Brunswick ever had a problem with them?
We have not. Samuel Klein has been very responsive. They have a number of clients throughout the state that they that are similar to New Brunswick, some different. They bring a lot of good ideas on how we work our finances. They're very responsive, and we have not had a problem.
Thank you. And lastly, Resolution 57, approving the appointment of counsel, Mr. Shami. Michelle Donato Esquire to the Board of Directors.
Yes, Mr. Council President, members of the council, as council is aware, our former ethics board attorney has retired from the practice of law. I advised the council on prior occasions that we were in search of a new attorney for the ethics board. Ms. Donato is a seasoned attorney who's represented many boards and commissions over her decades of practice. She has met the board last Thursday evening. They voted to approve her selection as ethics board attorney. I think she'll be a very good board of ethics attorney, very experienced, and this resolution is the authorization for Ms. Donato to be paid by the city in that capacity.
Thank you. As we begin to open it up to the public, again, a reminder, give your name and address for the record. And then you have up to 5 minutes. Please tell us again which resolution you're also talking about so we can follow along.
Hi, yes, Danielle Moore. I didn't hear which resolution you said was being taken off, if I heard you correctly. Please excuse me.
Number 26.
26.
26, where I don't know why every year you decide to take 26 off due to where, like I said, you don't want to take me seriously. Like I said before, the situation with 911,
Thanks, Ms. Moore.
taking too
Into
long.
the resolution.
One learned their lesson, and I guess the rest of you will learn your lesson for not concerning how long 911 takes to save someone's life.
Save it for the public.
I will also speak on, I keep hearing Code Blue. Please tell me how many cots are available, because every time I come to a meeting, I keep hearing a number change. I just heard 24. Now, and due to where before I was heard, 27, so I would like to know the exact number, how many cots are available over to Code Blue.
Council President, I apologize, I can't answer that directly. I'll give you an answer though. The room has a capacity for 27. It is at the discretion of those who are in charge of space at the time, how many cots they put out. They generally will put out 27. If there's a better way to organize a room that night based on the need of that night, our experts on site make that decision.
Okay, well, like I said, due to where, honestly, I've been saying prayers all week. Well, I pray nobody freeze to death due to where the way the climate is. I have special warmers on, like I said, to keep me warm, and I know it's very cold due to where, I even bought 100 packs of hand warmers to go around and pass out to people. After last winter, I really witnessed what hypothermia really is due to where almost like you're having a seizure due to where, what, we did have a death on Townsend Street from last winter from that. I really think you ought to try to really, you have plenty of vacant buildings around here due to where, wow, like some of these nights is gonna feel like 10 below zero. Due to where, please, I think due to where the county, if someone speaks up, the county, they're not cheap with giving the money. I say you have to speak up more, where due to where, what, how many homeless do you really have in New Brunswick? I would say at least 250 due to where, what, certain locations, due to where all you do is push them from one area to another. But like I said, as a resident of 48 years, New Brunswick was never like this. And like I said, due to where I feel you council members, you do not go far enough in trying to get more help for others. But like I said, rich or poor, everyone's going to need a helping hand sometime. And I, just like I even told Mr. Dean one time, I know he had money. What, when I found him collapsed, is money going to pick him up off the ground? Money's not going to save your life in every way. So like I said, everyone in this room will go through a situation, but come on, think about others. I mean, please, I hope it doesn't happen what the Lord is showing me. I do my best to try to avoid when I see something bad, to avoid it from happening. Taking time due to where, what, how I'm even making sure that someone is okay, that's close. I can't walk too far anymore because of the pain and the medication I'm on, but please, I think the city can do much more better than they are doing. Seeing so many people, how they got to gate up their churches now. What? Come on, you can do better. Then it was one more I had checked. Then I will say thank you to number 17 due to where with the dinners and all the services with the disabled and your senior citizens. But like mentioned even before, please, if you see that they need a helping hand this way, please understand. Stop taking away the benches and everything due to where people need to rest sometime, and that's become a big issue. I haven't seen Mr. McGee, he's the oldest one and the oldest veteran, due to where how he used to walk through here, but due to where what, how he can't take a break anymore. Please, you think this way, think of it all the other ways. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Good evening, once again, Charlie Pratt, Village of Brunswick, New Brunswick Today. We'll start with Code Blue. This item on tonight's agenda, is this for this current winter season, or is this for next year, the grant?
It's for 2025, I'm sorry. It's for the current season we're in, 24, 25.
Okay, thank you. And, I do think that we need to do much better with Code Blue. Just for example, it's 15 degrees right now. There's people waiting outside Unity Square. There's a crowd of people right now. Every day, folks are getting there as much as an hour and a half early and waiting out in the cold to get in. Let's do better. It's been below freezing all day, but the place has been closed, not serving the purpose since 7 a.m. this morning. We've got to do better. If it's going to be freezing, you've got to have at least one warming center. And frankly, you probably need two, because based on what we heard at the meeting where Mr. Jones spoke, was that there are 20 cots and then 7 additional spots where people can sit in a chair. But we've got to do better than that. We've got to treat people with dignity, and it's not really good or right to take somebody and tell them they can sleep in a chair. We need a second location. We need more cots. We need more hours. I'll move to the Samuel Klein resolution. I appreciated you returning my call today, Council President. Did you get my email on this as well?
No.
Okay, I sent the email around 4 p.m. I encourage you to hold off on this. I'll read you some of the email as we spoke about Samuel Klein and Company is the same firm that repeatedly and badly messed up the Middlesex County Municipal Joint Insurance Fund audits. leading to the delayed discovery of a multi-million-dollar deficit. The MCM-JIF has since agreed to state supervision by the Department of Banking and Insurance and the Department of Community Affairs. Audits had to be restated with significant corrections, and this firm did not fully cooperate with their replacement auditors. As you know, the MCM-JIF recently informed the city that it can no longer meet its obligations to provide insurance coverage for 2025 and subsequently lost all 5 of its remaining members. It's currently being sued for fraud by at least 2 former members and remains under state supervision. The main reason the JIF can no longer meet its obligations is several years of mismanagement, poor financial accounting practices, issues which should have been flagged by Samuel Klein and Company. The auditing firm's failures exacerbated the magnitude of MCM-JIF's serious problems, and the MCM-JIF, in turn, has failed New Brunswick taxpayers. I also wanted to provide you with a document, if I may.
City Clerk.
Thank you. So, first of all, were there any other bidders for this contract?
Councilor Jones.
With us tonight is Marie James, our QPA. I'll ask if she recalls if there were any bidders for this contract.
Yes, Council President, there was one other bid proposal submitted, but that bid proposal did not submit the proper documentation, so that rendered them unresponsive.
Thank you.
I would ask you to go ahead and rebid then. This is not a firm that New Brunswick should be using at this point. What I've handed you is proof of their campaign donations to all of you and Mayor Jim Cahill, totaling $13,000 since 2009. These are the employees of the firm that are giving routinely, so you can see as recently as September, when 4 or 5 of you were running for office. Joseph Facone, Michael McGuire, Andrew Pascal, Gerard Stankiewicz, and Andrew Zabiga, all employees of Samuel Klein, each gave $500 to support your election to office. And I think it's concern, the past history with this firm, and coupled with the fact that they've been donating, I think this is not the right choice, and I'm encouraging one of you to just make a motion to table this, pull this from the consent agenda, take some time, look into the situation with the JIF, look at their audits and the restated audits and the Department of Banking and Insurance examination report into how this whole debacle happened, and I think you'll share my view that this isn't the right firm for us, no matter how much they donate to politics. We need to be looking out for the city here, and the reality is this firm was the auditor for the JIF since 2007 until the whole thing blew up in their face, and they've apparently been with us a long time, and while it's good to do things that are familiar and work with people you know, it's also good to have fresh eyes look at our money, look at our accounting, look at our budgets, and make sure that we're doing things right. So I'm asking you, please hold off on approving this. Will you do that?
As far as them doing work with New Brunswick, we haven't had a problem. Maybe it's because they had too much to do with JIF or something like that. They concentrate on New Brunswick. We've never had that problem. So thank you, your time is up.
Okay, you might not know about the problems.
A quick question, if I may. Mr. Julis, they went through the bidding process like everybody else, right? Everybody was allotted time to bid for this, and we had them and the other person that was considered unresponsive, is that correct?
That's correct.
Yes.
I'm going to check it out, New Brunswick resident. I'm reflecting on resolution R12539 and $150,000 grant for Code Blue. And to give you guys kind of an update, you might remember a few sessions ago there were a couple of demands titled Warmth for All about ideas for how to improve the Code Blue, the New Brunswick Code Blue system in our warming shelter, warming center. And thank you for also bringing up the roundtable. A number of us will be going to that and continuing to talk to Keith Jones directly. On Monday night, Carissa Cunningham was at the warming center and saw 4 individuals turned away. They got to capacity, and those individuals had to go to the police department lobby. And the only blankets available to them were provided by residents, not the city and not the program. And we continue to maintain that the removal of Mr. Jones is necessary. In 2021, the city failed to activate warming centers during qualifying cold conditions, violating New Jersey Senate Bill S3511. This endangered lives and demonstrated a lack of accountability. Volunteers once brought cultural competence, bilingual communication, and trust to Cold Blue, and Mr. Jones removed the volunteers, reducing the program's capacity and severing critical connections with the community. And Monday night's incident shows how the department continues to treat homelessness as an afterthought, leaving people with nowhere to go but the police station. And Mr. Jones has resisted efforts to create transparency and accountability within the department, and specifically with finances, eroding public trust. And we know that Mayor Cahill actually appointed Keith Jones, and just noticing that, you know, he has not been to any of these meetings. He has not stepped in to address the failures of this department. And leadership is about accountability, and we feel that Mayor Cahill is failing the city on this matter. So the immediate call to action is to remove Keith Jones from his position, reinstate volunteers to restore capacity and community oversight, require public funding on, require public reporting on how funds are spent, and establish a community oversight board to ensure transparency and accountability. Thank you.
Thank you. As I mentioned before, although Mayor Cahill is more than welcome to come here as a private citizen, this is a legislative body and a city council. So if he wants to have his own meeting or discuss something like that, that's up to him. But I'm certainly not going to make him come to any of these city council meetings. We're not like some of the other cities.
Council
Yes,
President, if I may,
Yes.
particularly in the mentioning of a department head of the city, if one characterizes the fact that the warming center was full, it's a failure of Mr. Jones, I think it's important that everyone realize that these warming centers, when they open, have a tremendous amount of pressure from all the surrounding communities who are not offering warming centers. And we are trying to provide these warming centers for our New Brunswick residents and for all people in need. But until the surrounding communities pick up their part of their commitment, we will always do all we can in New Brunswick with the resources that we have. And Mr. Jones and his staff work tirelessly. We are fully staffed in those warming centers, and I don't think it's right to disparage him on that context.
Thank you. Also, unfortunately, Councilwoman Escobar is not here, but she's been taking some of the lead with the Code Blue. She's a little sick tonight, but she tells me that they are in negotiations to do even better work at different places, so it's just a matter of time. Hopefully it's shorter the better, but we'll see how that goes.
And if I can, for the record, Mr. Drulis did give a rundown of the budget.
I'm sorry, can you speak up? I can't hear you.
Mr. Drulis did give a rundown of the budget, on how the money is being spent today.
Okay.
I've already introduced myself. I'd like to talk about the Code Blue situation as well.
Okay.
I think that's a great point. And how do you pronounce your last name?
Drulis, sir.
Drulis. You made a great point about how our neighbors could also be doing better. And I think that that's a good point, but that doesn't mean that we don't have to also try to do better.
Sure.
I'm sorry?
I'm sure that's what he meant.
Okay. Yeah. So we should be a leader, is I think how we should be characterizing it when it comes to providing for our most vulnerable community members. I also take issue with what you said afterwards about not characterizing the Code Blue not failing to accommodate people as a failure on Mr. Jones' part. I think that it's also, when you mentioned that we're doing the best with the resources we have, I recall earlier in the meeting when we had a discussion about the tax incentives that were being offered to contractor, about how we're going to be eventually getting returns that outweigh the potential losses in the near term, and that's a compelling argument, but I don't understand how we're failing still when we have large corporations who have like who have been given these tax incentives and have, quote unquote, gotten to the point where we're getting the return. Where we have Robert Wood Johnson and Rutgers and Johnson, and we're still, when it comes to people who don't have somewhere to stay, all of a sudden we don't have resources. So that's a little concerning for me. I'd also like to ask if any of the council members know what the temperature is currently.
Is there a resolution that you're talking
I'm
about?
talking about code blue.
Code blue still?
Yeah. Does any of the council members know what the temperature is right now?
Below 32.
It's a lot below 32. I checked my phone. It was something like 17 degrees.
It's cold.
It's cold, and currently there are people lined up for the Code Blue, which will be opening very shortly at 7. And as you heard from the other speaker, there were people turned away last time from Code Blue, and I think we're expecting the same thing to happen this evening. So I think that while we do appreciate how you're taking this matter into great consideration, and we're having meetings with Escobar about the matter, and we're having meetings with other service providers, this is like an emergency for individuals when they don't have somewhere to stay. And right now is the winter, and we might not be having this discussion 2 months from now. But if someone is unable to make it into a warm shelter this winter, they might not have the opportunity to make it to see next winter. I mean, hopefully people aren't staying on the streets that long. But yeah. Did any of you? I also wanted to ask about those funding breakdowns. Are those itemized, or is that just like a general summation for like all of the costs?
Mr. Jones.
Categories.
Categorized. Okay. So you said there was like repair and maintenance. Are there records for exactly the type of maintenance there was repaired that are being made?
Yes, Mr. Jones.
All the repairs, all the expenditure of the city go through a local purchasing process that requires that we move through and purchase things through the same process. So there are absolute records, yes.
Okay. Can we have the records itemized further for the public potentially in a future meeting? As generally categorized, it's a little bit concerning.
Please.
Continue. Go ahead.
So, Council President, the energy and the enthusiasm in this very deep conversation truly belongs at the Municipal Homelessness Prevention Roundtable. That is where we pull these
29th.
things apart.
If you bring that up.
Yeah.
And I think it's important that our guests realize about those people online and references. A quick search before you came here, you would see some towns in Middlesex County have a rule that only 10 people can be in the shelter, and they all have to be men. Now, I hope and pray there's no women and children who are homeless, and that's why there's only 10 spots for 10 men. So we receive those women and children because we don't have those restrictions, and we're glad to have that option. There is a discussion about, take a look at some towns, they say, go to New Brunswick. In Middlesex County, this is following compliance with the law. That is their message to their community. Go to New Brunswick, and we accept these people.
Thank you. Your 5 minutes is up, that's all.
And
I'm sorry. Your 5 minutes is up.
the discussion as it relates to the cost, I laid out, I'm not talking Council President.
Your time is almost up. It's Mr. Jules' time.
The over $100,000 I discussed in the budget that's not being reimbursed comes from the New Brunswick taxpayer, comes from these pilots. It is coming from this community. And I don't want that to get lost in the discussion, Council President.
Thank you.
Mr. Council President, may I have
Sure.
some time? Thank you so much. So first, I want to say I thank everyone for their advocacy and constantly bringing your concerns to
Could you
the
speak
council.
out, please?
I'd like to thank everyone for their advocacy and bringing their concerns to the council. I truly do appreciate your energy and your enthusiasm. I do want to add some greater context to this conversation. Previously, I have been silenced in deference to our council colleague who is leading the charge. But in her absence, I do want to mention something and point out how this issue is systemic, because I think that is a part of the conversation that is missing and is very important. It's important to keep in mind that the state of New Jersey passed a bill of requiring Code Blue services. And when it was initially passed, the appropriation was very small and minimal. They wanted an objective of chief, but they weren't willing to put the money behind it. I'll say that candidly. You could see this in very similar aspects to when the state of New Jersey first passed affordable housing. There were certain areas who really had the requirement and the burden of providing affordable housing throughout this entire state. And as we see today, is that those policies putting these requirements in certain areas only do not work. Because when it comes to housing individuals, it is a responsibility that must be shared by all, or it will not be good enough. I think the state has done tremendous work in the past couple of years of expanding the requirements and burden of requiring all people to be housed. But that same energy is not yet here in Code Blue. The issues with Code Blue go beyond just Director Jones. He does not make decisions in a silo. He is not the only one who has decision-making about Code Blue. Let me tell you firsthand about Director Jones. Before I got on this council, one of the main advocates to me when I work in the legislature of the state increasing the appropriation to the few municipalities required to do Code Blue. Keep in mind, only the same historical towns that were required to do affordable housing have to do Code Blue. It's not a requirement that everyone else has to do. Townships with double our population don't have to provide any Code Blue services. There are only 2 in Middlesex County who have to do it. He came to my attention and asked for me to help get a couple of people in the legislature and really start advocating for increased appropriations. And I think that if you look back some of the budgets that the city had, that the grant money that they have received from the county, right, because the state gives money to counties to give to the municipality, I think you'll see that that grant money has increased. We're also just talking about Code Blue. Something similar is happening in Code Red. The state passed a Code Red, or is in the process of passing Code Red, and don't have money attached to it. And it was some partners here in New Brunswick who were able to at least get language added to that bill that at least can we get a reimbursement after 3 years. A reimbursement, not even appropriations attached. So I hear you. You know, the city has a model that we will always do our best to get better. We will do everything that we can to examine the issue holistically. And in the ways that we can improve, certainly improve. And that is a shared effort of those with us, the mayor and the city working together, of formulating strategies, listening to community partners, listening to all of you, Director Jones and his tireless advocacy and all the man hours that he has put into this, as well as pushing for the state and the county and for every municipality. Let's prioritize housing people first, because fighting with one another does not achieve our goals, and this is something worth fighting for. So again, thank you for the advocacy, but I just want to say for myself personally, when it comes to Director Jones, I see an individual and a character who even beyond his 9 to 5, and it's not even a 9 to 5 job, beyond his city hours, has gone out above and beyond to advocate for this program.
Councilwoman.
Could I have just one more minute? I just want to make it clear, we're here for a resolution tonight to accept the grant. So we can either accept the grant or not accept the grant. If we don't accept the grant, even less will happen. So that is what we're here talking about tonight. We hear your concerns, we have heard them over and over. Things are happening, people are working on this, but right tonight it's, do you think we should accept this grant or do you think we should not accept it? And that's what we vote on tonight. Not if someone's going to be in their position or someone's going to do that, that's what we're talking about tonight.
Thank you. Next. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Jenny Klausman for 3 City on Street. So first I want to thank Councilwoman Baskins for hosting tonight. I really agree that the larger nature of the problem needs to be recognized here. And I, applaud that transparency as something that we should, have more of in these types of conversations, because clearly there is a great deal of public interest and concern.
Am I speaking up?
Sure. Clearly there is a great deal of public interest and concern, and the more transparency that we have and the more two-way communication that we have in these conversations, the better the result can be for everyone. The statement tonight was enlightening and helpful. I think if we could have started the conversation at that place when this issue was, has been brought up many months in the past, that would be even better. And I'm certainly not putting that in any way on Councilwoman Gaskins, because I think of her statement. But there's, all of the council members have the opportunity to speak up and to make it a conversation with the public. And I think the public would genuinely appreciate that. And welcome additional information that we would not have any way of knowing otherwise. And with regards to ongoing work and that the concerns are being heard and there are things that are being worked on, I have no doubt that that's true, and I'm glad that that's happening, and it would be just excellent to have more visibility into what work is being done and how can we actively engage on that work, be invited into the process. And it is excellent that the monthly roundtable meetings are now being promoted as being open to the public. Monthly meetings are great. More frequent communication obviously is better. So just wanted to add my 2 cents on that. And then with regards to the Code Blue grant and the explanatory statement that Mr. Drillis offered earlier, I want to ask a clarifying question. Would you really say a little bit more about the facility upgrades that are happening? Just what are they? What is that money being spent on?
So that includes the facility was built to house Catholic Charities as a tenant on the first floor and a fire museum on the second floor. It was never equipped for what it's doing now. And when you bring any population into an overnight environment, you have to make sure that all the systems are strong, fire safety, emergency exits, etc., when in different use. On top of that, there has been needs to improve on the camera systems to make sure that we have DVR with cameras, the ability to lock doors, unlock doors remotely, improvements to the facilities for greater use in terms of the bathroom, the toilets. We've had to install detectors because there's a threat of overdose, and a smoke detector won't pick up other substances in the air, very expensive. There's been improvements to the outside of the facility in terms of lighting around the facility, fencing, etc. So those are the types of improvements one has to have when you have a center that's operated this way.
Thank you, I appreciate that. And then for the amount of the grant, being $150,000 just about this year, can you speak to how that compares to last year and previous years?
The amount?
Yes.
I think the amount's the same as last year.
The amount's the same as last year. Was there, obviously, there are only so many resources to go around, but where those resources are distributed is often a conversation. So I'm curious, was the city in active conversation about the need to increase the grant amount, and what kind of response, if so, what kind of response did we get to that request?
Well, we're always looking to get more money. Obviously, if we don't, the people who are in charge decided not to have it.
Sure, yeah, I was curious for additional insights. I understand that.
Yeah, we're always working on something.
Okay. I'm sure that that's true, but I would just love to know a little bit more concrete details about what this something is. In any case, I have an additional question on any active plans to either expand the Code Blue space or open up a second place, as has been previously discussed and recommended.
Thank you, your time's up, but I'll say that we are in negotiations to try to find a place. One of those places will not be the Henry Guest House. It also needs renovations. The library uses it early in the morning, so to do that back and forth would not be a place. So we've been actively looking at other places that have space. Thank you for your time. Next.
Prior to again, thank you so much. I wasn't planning on speaking again, but was it Councilwoman Gosselin? What's your name?
That's my name.
Yes, I was inspired because I would, as someone who lives across the pond or across the river in Piscataway, really, I hear it used to be rural before I was born, and now it's really heavily suburban. I would love to hear ideas on how my town, how I can hold my elected municipal leaders, speak to the fire, so to speak, to get them to do more of the work that, the work is shared equitably, because I think that's very important. And but I also kind of want to take issue with, was it Councilman Ferguson's remark about how this is not the time necessarily to discuss the entirety of Code Blue. It's only like a budget yes or no, because I've been involved in like housing advocacy for longer than it looks like, given my youthful loyal, and I just learned like a couple weeks ago that the housing roundtable was a thing. I don't know how it was publicized before, but I first heard that it was like a invitation only sort of event, which may not have been true. But I think saying like, oh, there's other places and times for this conversation to happen, and then like not make that like widely understood beforehand, and then like blame us for like voicing it here is a little bit, it stings a little. That's all I would like to say. Thank you.
Thank you. And I would say that basically, when you do have questions, you don't even have to take up all the time with the city council. You call those departments. Call Mr. Jones. See what you get there. Talk to Mr. Dubois. Somebody in that department obviously will talk to you, give you some answers, and then if you don't like it, you can come here in the public portion and tell us, what's going on. But, check with the departments. Anybody else on the resolution? Seeing none?
Move the resolutions.
Second.
Councilmember Fleming,
Yes.
Councilmember Ferguson,
Yes, but I'm abstaining from item 15.
duly noted. Councilmember Gaskin,
Yes.
Councilmember Secor Ludwig,
Yes.
Council Vice President Castellino,
Yes.
Council President Anderson.
Yes. We now have items for discussion by council. Does anybody on the council wish to say anything this time? I'd like to thank Fire Director Rawls for his many years of service. As you know, he's retired, working on somebody at this time, see who takes over. But I'd like to thank him. Also like to encourage the police department as promotions. It has new police officers, so I'd like to encourage them to do the best that they can and thank them for doing what they have. We now have the public portion of the meeting. Usual, same thing. If you give your name and address for the record, you have up to 5 minutes. If you don't use it, you lose it. So again, please give your name.
83 Oxford Street. I'm going to have Danielle Moore speak for me. I'm not feeling very well at the present time. Thank you.
So this is not my time. Just please stay right there, Mr. Even though I'm not feeling well, it's because I just took my pain meds a little while ago. To where I know the last time I brought Mr. Dean here, first I would like to start off with Councilmember Gaskin. How long have you been a resident of New Brunswick?
Many years.
What is many years? Like 48 years, 20 years, 15 years?
I'm not 48.
Well, why don't you just say how many years?
Can you just say your point?
So to where, as we, where you were the one that spoke, that was March 7, 2024, to where the situation with Mr. Paul Dean's house, where with the squatters, that was office where at the time he was Lieutenant Hoover, now he's Captain Hoover, when the crew came over there and investigated with the squatters, you spoke on matters, okay, we're gonna start working on something to get these squatters. I really think due to where every time you see me get to a point, prove a point, you just say things after me that like I don't mean anything. And you do it every time, and honestly, you're not hurting me. You're looking at yourself. But now, due to where the reason why I'm going to point out at that time, when due to where with Captain Hoover and his crew, due to where we pointed right directly across from where Mr. Dean was, where the squatters went. Wow, excuse my, I ran out of ink. I didn't get a chance to order anymore. With the houses that burned over on Hell Street, right on the other, not too far from his house. What, from squatters? What, the people had to suffer for them? Why, please, are you doing, that's why I said due to where what? I think you just speak after me. What, to think you're gonna hush me up due to where I don't see what's being done. And like I said, that big fire over there, where what, it was told to the detectives when they was there investigating, due to where what, how we pointed over there they are. Did any of you take matters seriously and doing something with the squatters, with trespassing or anything? You're not solving issues, you're pushing it from one area to another. That's all you're doing, and why should others suffer? The other thing I have Mr. Dean down here for, the city's still attempting to try to get his property due to where what? No one's been in his house for 4 years. He recently just moved back in there when I said, oh my, he got the electricity back on due to where, okay, we had to do matters for gas due to where the gas, PSC&G and the fire department as well explained to me. I know Mr. Dean gets confused a lot due to where explained to me what has to be done to his house in order for them to turn back on the gas. Like I said, I teach people as you help others, you'll be helping yourself in some other type of way. I have due towards a young man, due to where what? I look after me, after losing my mom, and especially on Christmas, I look after Mr. Dean as a father, due to where how the police officer looks differently towards what I'm doing. What, I was offered to stay in a 3-bedroom house above him in his house, free. Did I take it? No. I was offered to be his nurse to get paid through it. Did I take it? No. Like I said, I work for the man above, my blessings will come down, but how the hell does he owe $9,100 and something on water that no one was there using? Now he has a lien against his house on this? Every time he clears a matter, due to where what the city keeps putting more on top of him, where you think you're gonna get his house. Please, there's no way, due to where what? That it should be over $9,000 before he was incarcerated for all the junk that was on his property when Lieutenant Hoover at the time, they all came over. Mr. Dean didn't do that. That was these damn squatters who burned up this house over there. What? Now you're trying to say due to where what? Nobody was in that house. He was staying in North Brunswick when he got incarcerated, what, 4 weeks because something that he didn't damn do, due to where what? He was helping a friend, the water was shut off in the house, so please tell me how does he owe $9,100 and something a lien against his house when nobody was using the water? Like I said, due to where, what? Can I get an answer?
Thank you for your time, Ms. Moore.
No, can I get an answer?
You'd have to call the water department.
I spoke to the water.
Do it again. Thank you for your time. Next person, please.
Well, that'll be me, the next person. Because I will, like I said, with my matters, I will have to leave with Mr. Dean as well. Excuse me. Thank you for understanding.
All right, before that, Councilwoman Gaskins.
So I don't know about the name, I'm sorry, but I wanted to publicly apologize to you. If you ever felt that I was coming after you, if I ever made you feel less than, or that if I was ever putting you in a situation where your opinions were not respected, I apologize. I own any mishap I have done, and I will strive to do better. I'm sorry, Danielle.
Thank you. I have to say, this is not starting off as a happy new year for me. That was January 14th, due to where I did my EMG test, due to where I announced, due to where now finally we to come to a decision what New Brunswick Police Department, it'll be almost a year now, due to where I did my EMG, just like I told you, when I have my arm in a sling, it pinches on a nerve. How the rest of my body is hot, my arm is cold. Now when I take my arm out of the sling, due to where the test was to show whether, what is my shoulder hanging off from a dead nerve cell, or due to where with New Brunswick tearing my damn shoulder, 3 locations, and like I said, dislocating and nerve damage, due to where, please, I tell you, all you devils will have your day. What did I say? You're messing with the wrong black one from New Brunswick, and what did I tell you? What is the Lord going to do? Come for each and every one a change, due to where dishonestly, crooked, racist devil out of here. Is tell me I can't see? We'll start off with J.T. Miller. Then we'll start off with Kevin Egan. Then we'll start off with Anthony Caputo. Then we'll start off with Dr. Caldwell. And finally we'll start off with Judge Philip Burrow. Like I said, every evil eye towards me will have their day, and it's karma happening on every one of them son of a bitches who said that was all a setup, due to where Talisha Robinson, I go to damn court, the Judge James Holbrook, he'll be getting a damn lawsuit against him 2 times already. When you press charges on somebody, it doesn't mean shit. They can just walk out of the courtroom, But like I said, now that I have the evidence, due to where trying to make me look, just to make me look bad? You want to protect people with 7 pages long of a record with assaulting somebody, robbery, and that's where Corey Jackson Anderson, the other security guard. I'm going to take it to the news, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart. How does he bite a woman's nose off, assault a man, breaking his glasses? New Brunswick would not arrest him, press charges? Is it on his record? Ticket, Shane Crouch, what to do to where what is on his record where they sprayed me with police mace, assaulted me, I had a busted blood vessel due to a concussion? And you call New Brunswick a damn good police officer from a police department? You're nothing but upgrading, dishonest, great ungrateful, and like I said, due to where you said that you can charge me for carrying mace, due to why haven't I been arrested yet? Because you can't damn arrest me for carrying mace, because I know how many ounces I'm allowed to carry. But is there any threat on Talisha Robinson? Now that and I was lied to by the damn surgeon, saying that I didn't need surgery. That's because New Brunswick Police Department, and do I have the damn evidence, has been hacking my phone ever since, trying for me to get surgery with 3 different departments, and then also even with lawyers, back and forth with the lawyer stuff. If they say that I did nothing wrong, what would I put up there $1,500 for with that fake video on Facebook, due to where I have the evidence to prove everything, and like I said, why do they keep avoiding the case? First now you push it back to April 7th? You think just because I filled out a tort claim that I don't have a lawyer? Like I said, New Brunswick will not get away with it, and I say it in my damn prayers every damn night that I can't go to sleep, due to where Keith Walcott, Elfie Martinez, Alexander Eunice, Captain Hodge, due to where I say it in my prayers every night, may the Lord let them have their day, and I pray that they rot in hell, due to where they all lied on me and said what I did. What do you do? Tell these people who have criminals. You tell them, you go to jail or you work for us? Somebody put up there on Facebook, try to say, look at my criminal record. Everything that you tried to get me against, it was damn dismissed. Even with the ticket after hours, calling an ambulance for someone on the ground? The past 5 years, due to where New Brunswick Police Department been coming after me and my family. But as my shirt says, I'm a strong black woman, and like I
each one of you, like I said, that disrespected me in any way, you see karma's working. Like Corey Jackson. Wow, what did I say? He just got fired, he lost his job, he lost his apartment. Like I said, karma will come for every evil eye, and I pray that you will have your day.
Thank you. The next person.
Hello, Alina, New Brunswick resident. I'll keep this short. I just wanted to talk a little bit about how I see myself coming to these meetings as a member of the public. And first I want to thank Councilmember Gaskins for the excellent point of Code Blue being a much broader issue, and that, you know, every point on the entire agenda has a context and is weighs on all of us and has politics attached to it, and I recognize that. And I'm also not here to make your jobs harder. I recognize that you're doing a lot in the background and working all day on these issues, and yeah, coming here, I feel that my position is simply to report on what I see in my community and my neighborhood. And I see a lot of people suffering. I see people in the parks by my house camping, and getting to hear from them that, you know, they don't know sometimes about the resources that are out there. And I hear about them sometimes online, sometimes through people. It's a very scattered method of distributing knowledge. So I feel like I'm catching up a lot of times, even coming here and learning stuff. So just acknowledging that knowledge doesn't come to all of us like downloaded into our brains. We all find it in our own ways, and it's not, you know, we can all acknowledge that you know, now that we know that there are other avenues to communicate with different departments and with y'all. You know, many of us talk about like emailing different people and not hearing back. You know, I know that I try my best to communicate when I can, and I also don't see this as like, you know, opposing sides and like this fight and it being hostile and personal. That's not how I see it. I see it as a conversation, and I would welcome hearing more from you individually as opposed to just hearing from Councilman Escobar. And from what I've seen from other city councils, you know, I know that it can be a lot more individual voices coming out, and that's personally what I would like to see, as that feels to me very democratic and makes you all feel more like people and like neighbors. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, introduced myself already. I just wanted to talk about Code Blue once again, and I wanna highlight excuse me, Councilwoman, what's your name again?
Petra.
Petra? Okay, Councilwoman Petra. Yeah, a systemic issue. I also wanted to. There's some. So basically, there's a lot of issues attached to the homelessness issue, and I think that relates to addiction. That relates to jobs and wealth inequality, and once again, this is a very wealthy city when it comes to the big businesses that exist here, and I think it's a systemic issue that we are able to have very wealthy businesses, and we're able to invite more wealthy businesses into the city. And however, this homelessness issue continues to be an issue. And I appreciate the councilwoman. That's what I also wanted to thank the councilwoman for bringing that to our attention. That it seems as though we're not being supported. We're not working with other municipalities in the area when it comes to keeping this issue. And I think that that's an important point to highlight, that we shouldn't be having there shouldn't be an individual challenge for the city. And for that reason, I think it's important that we are working together to solve this issue. And I think that the fact that we've seen improvements at the Code Blue shelter this year is a testament to what happens when more people get involved. So I don't mean to be disparaging to Mr. Jones. I think he's obviously, he feels threatened when we are demanding that he be removed from his position, understandably. But when that threat is levied, so to speak, all of a sudden we're seeing improvements at the Code Blue facility. So I think that allow this to be a challenge that we do better, and we have seen that a challenge is successful in improving the problem. So I want to thank the council members, specifically
It's okay.
specifically this council member in front of me, for sharing your thoughts, because often we come here, we advocate, and we have dead silence from the council members. So we don't even know what you know when it comes to how these improvements are being sought after. So I want to conclude by saying thank you to the council, and I look forward to seeing you more, and I hope that the homelessness situation can be improved, and that's related to the affordable housing issue, as a council member also mentioned. And a point on that is we have a ton of luxury rentals coming in, and I don't know if you have information about who's living in those rentals. I understand that, like, you're trying to bring Nokia in, and you're going to bring those employees in who are high salaried employees, and you know, it's all good and well when you say it like that when it comes to bringing in wealth to the city, but we're leaving people behind. So thank you very much for your time, council.
Thank you. Yes.
Hello, April McCross, 143 City Street.
Thank you.
So I actually want to start off with a quick personal anecdote and to commend the work of New Brunswick Animal Control for some good work that they did last week. In particular, Officer Cinda Ram, we had an issue last week with a neighbor's dog getting loose in our yard. No one, knew whose it was. There's a lot of that type of dog around. It was running into the streets. We were very concerned. Able to catch it and bring it to our house, and Animal Control was very quick in their response. Animal Control Officer Cinda Ram was very warm, very patient, able to scan for a microchip and find the owner a lot faster than we would have been able to. We tried canvassing around the neighborhood, but of course people aren't always home. So I want to recognize good work where it's done, in particular that officer who I found not only did her job well, but was extremely personable and clearly had a genuine care for the animals. I also want to follow up on some good points that were made by some speakers much earlier on in the meeting about making our community more accessible for our disabled neighbors, and re-raise a point that has been brought up in these meetings a number of times before about making these council meetings not just accessible to those who are able to make it here in person, but also accessible through a virtual option, as many other towns have. It would help not just with transparency and public engagement, which was the points that have been made in this meeting previously, but also with enabling our disabled neighbors to have the same access to participate in these meetings as all of the rest of us do. So I want to re-raise that point for consideration. Having this option for meetings, I understand that there can be some initial complexity in figuring out how to set up that system well so that it functions properly and effectively, but it's very, very feasible. You can see good examples of many other towns in the state that have done that, and I think it would be a great benefit to our community for a whole host of different reasons, enabling the access by our disabled community members being just one among many. So I also want to call back some other previous topics that I've asked about at these meetings in the past, just to see if there are any updates to be shared, and if not, when we might expect to hear more. So starting with the opioid settlement funds, that had there have been several installments of those funds that have been on council agendas in past months for approval of accepting those funds. My understanding from the last time that we discussed that in this meeting, is that, there was planning underway for how those funds would be put to use. I wanted to check back in on that. Has a plan been developed, or what would be the timeline for developing that plan for how we're going to use that money to effectively tackle the drug crisis in our city?
Go ahead, keep going, we'll go at the end so we don't take the time.
Okay. I also want to ask if there is an update on the city's community energy plan, any additional efforts being made by the city to protect our environment and health, as well as updates on how the current provisions included in that plan are being implemented, and if we're seeing things move at the pace that we expected when that plan was laid out. And then the ever-present topic of the George Street redevelopment project. I know it's a very long-term project, and there's a lot of complex aspects to consider there, and obviously it would require a great deal of funding for that to be possible. But again, I would love to hear if there are any updates on the conversations. Are those conversations still active, and how can the public participate?
Quickly, I said they're ongoing, but nothing formal yet
And
on the George Street.
sure. And is there any way that the public can participate in those conversations?
Not this time, not at this time.
Is there any sense of when there may next be an opportunity for the public to engage on that
I
topic?
guess when they come out with more ideas and stuff like that, then they would open up to the public.
Okay. Do we have any sense of what the timeline for that may be?
Not at this time.
And then I also want to ask if there's any update on the library and the damage to some of the interior walls there. The last update that I had on that front was that there was testing done on the damaged areas of walls and confirmed that there was a lead issue, but we didn't have additional data in at that time as to the severity of the issue or the timeline for those repairs.
Okay, thank you. Anything on the opiate funds, Mr. Nicholas?
Nothing new to report except that that is considered part of the 2025 budget planning process, and we are not with that plan.
And the community energy plan?
The plan is being worked through. One thing I could talk about now is the city is continuing to electrify parts of its fleet to see where that's sensible, and there has been funding identified through grants to do that. That's where our focus is on that.
Anything on the library?
Last I spoke to Dr. Belvin, the architectural firm was receiving back the information on the different tests, and they were assembling a plan for how they're going to move forward with the renovations.
Okay, thank you. Next, yes.
Hi, Carissa Cunningham, 272 Hamilton Street. Forgive me if I'm a little out of sorts. I spent the duration of the city council member up until this point down with the community members down at Code Blue. I was hoping to give them a chance to speak directly to the city council, but unfortunately, right, they start lining up for Code Blue at 4:30 p.m., as early as 4:30 p.m., right, to make sure that they get a spot, okay? And then they wait for hours in these cold temperatures, right? When I go out there to supervise what's going on, right? I go out there, I get there at 6 o'clock. By the time I leave, my hands, when I go back into the car, they are on fire. Burning pain from just an hour in the cold, okay? It is insanely cold out there. I challenge any one of you to stand from 4:30 to 7 p.m. in the cold in order to get a spot for the night. That is the situation that we are asking our houseless community members to deal with, okay? Hours in single-digit temperatures, okay? Only to get into the shelter, it's crowded in there. There's no food. You can't go in and out. This is a fucked up situation, I will use what language is appropriate for this, and that is appropriate for this.
Advisory, if she doesn't heed to the advisory, you can declare out of order, Mr. Council President.
So I just watch your language, please.
Okay. As I was saying about the appropriate situation to use that word, because I use that word because it is appropriate to the situation. We have a situation where people are being dehumanized. 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 And you want us to trust you, right? When you actively defend someone like Keith Jones, who has led to these decisions. He's the leader, he's responsible, and we hold him accountable for these grievances. I went there on Monday night and watched 4 people be told they had to walk all the way to the police station lobby to have someone warned to be. Guess what? I went up to a cop who was there, posted, by the way, because they posted cops now at Code Blue. They are posted every night now, by the way. So we're paying for taxpayer dollars for cops now down at Code Blue. Should investigate that, okay? Hours and hours of expensive cop overtime, right? I go up to the cop, I say, this woman here, she speaks Spanish, right? Nobody there speaks Spanish. I'm the only person who speaks broken Spanish, okay? To explain the situation going on, she's got a hurting back, she's disabled, okay? She can't get to the shelter easily. It's gonna take her a really long time to get there. So I go to a cop, I say, can you help her take this woman to the police station? You know what he said to me? He said, we're not a taxi service. It's not his job. So guess who took her? It was me. It was me. I took her, okay? I took her. And then I made sure she had a blanket, okay? So she could fucking sleep on the floor. She said to sleep on the floor. No access to a bathroom. That's what we're talking about here. And you're concerned about my word? How about you show some concern about the people sleeping on the floor? You want my honey. You want my respect. You want all our respect. But you don't care about people sleeping on the floor. So how about you care about people sleeping on the floor? Show up for that. Then I'll take you seriously. Then I will. Stand in the cold with me. Stand in the cold. Hear these people's stories. Feel that suffering, feel that ache. Then we'll talk. I very much look forward to my meeting with Councilman Fleming.
Hello, everybody. I don't really know what to say, truth be told.
Start off with your name and address for the record, sir.
Thank you. My name is Clifton Smith.
Thank you.
47 years old. I'm a lifelong member of New Brunswick, New Jersey. I came here tonight because a friend of mine said that he was here before, and I used to live a different life. You know, I sold drugs right there on Remsen Avenue for the most of my years growing up. My mom was raped. I'm that child, you know, but for the last 15 years, I changed my life. I was working at the JJC, the juvenile, with the kids in Warren Residential. I worked at New Hope Foundation as a drug treatment counselor. Right now, I'm a manager at Allies for several different group homes with individuals with developmental disabilities. I'm also a deacon at Antioch Christian Church, but I'm not here on behalf of the church. I'm here as a member of the community because I grew up here. And just tonight, I'm just introducing myself. I don't have nothing against you guys here. I just want to help. And I think we all should want to help. What I seen a lot here was a lot of argument or taking our frustrations out, you know, on the powers that be. And that's not going to get us anywhere. This issue that we're fighting, we're not just fighting it here in New Brunswick. It was just on the news today. They were trying to lock homeless people up in Patterson but they had to stop the law from being
I was
passed.
there too.
So, yes, and I'm not against anyone. You know, I was one of those kids out there. I'm gonna keep it real, right? Sunday, I go to church on Sunday, every Sunday. I love the Lord. I come down here, go get me something to eat, right? See, the difference is I grew up here, so some of those homeless people that you see, I went to school with them. You know what I mean? Some of them playing crazy, I know they're not crazy. You understand what I'm saying? So when I'm sitting down there eating my food, I don't want nobody, no disrespect. I love people. I don't want somebody coming in there watching me eating my food and then waiting for me to ask me for $4 or $5 when I'm finished. I don't want that. I don't care if it's somebody I went to school with, no nothing. And I had to say something to her. I had to wait for everybody to leave that bagel ganache. And I had to say, listen, I'm not giving you no money. I'm tired of this, man. Not just for me, but what about the people that's working in the store? They working in the store and gotta have these people standing over there and coming in and talking to me. That becomes, it becomes frustrating. And then if I'm the one, like the thing is this, like, you know, I'll say something. But then if I say something, I become the, you know, the poster guy or whatever like that, you know, for telling this person, but I feel some type of way. Why can't I eat my breakfast, you know, in peace? You know what I mean? And then not have to worry about you looking at me the whole time. And then if I go to pull some money out of my pocket, you're going to take that. My thing is, that's something that I want to work on. I prayed for him before I left. I gave him $10, but I said, we're going to have to do something to get y'all from down here. And I told the people in the store, hey, man, we're going to have to do something. They can't just keep coming in this store. When I was a kid, if I ain't have a quarter to put in that video game, I couldn't go in that store. It's not doing anything wrong. They did that to the kids. So why is it an adult? If you're not buying nothing, then you shouldn't be in this store. I shouldn't have to go to the train station. And when I go to the train station to get my Dunkin' Donuts, they in there talking to them. The people don't want them talking in their face like that. I don't want them talking in my face. It's embarrassing. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? I know it's an issue and it's a problem, but this issue and the problem is more than just their issue. It's our issue and the problem. If I see my brother down there, I'm picking him up. What you doing now? I done prayed for people at that train station. Told them I went to school with you. What you doing down there? You ain't crazy. Get up from over there and let's go. That's what I do. This is what we all have to do. Some of us, I get your passion. Your passion, you know, because but at the same time, I'm not passionate like that. I ain't throwing my pearls to the swines. Everybody ain't out there, ain't crazy. Some people, I was young, I remember when I was coming up, they used to tell me, fill out for the SSI. I didn't never want to do that, even though I was living a life that wasn't. This is what a lot of them do. They fill it out for it to get the free housing and this, that, and the third. We got to work together. We got to take our passion out of it, you know what I mean, and put our minds together. And let's work together. Let's not argue all the time. Let's work together. You know, I went to school with Keith Jones. He's a little bit younger than me. You know what I'm saying? Tamel Pittman, that's my best friend. We grew up together. But I know the issues. I'm not Tamel. You understand what I'm saying? I know the issues that I don't have the same issues that he has with people. I'm here to look to find, say, to work with people. It's crazy, right? I was tired just getting off work. My folder, when we finished, I passed it, but I got a lot of stuff in here. I've been writing for years, you know what I'm saying? I got things that I want to write for the youth. You know, I do mentoring, I do motivational speaking. I'm going to be in a play right here at the MB Pack in May. It's called When Pain Speaks. We're doing it's a monologue with men speaking of their hardships and how they overcame them. And we was doing it at Avenel, but this is going to be the first time we're doing it here in May. Like I said, I really just came to introduce myself, Clifton Maurice Smith. And it's not going to be my first night, man, but I'm introducing myself. Hey, man, I want to get community. How I can help you? Thank you.
Hello again. Charlie Cradville, New Brunswick today. I want to second what April said about the work of ACO Ram. Really appreciated her helping reconnect that lost animal with its family. Also want to say it was great to see Ms. Gaskins at last night's Board of Education meeting. It's great to finally have a liaison to the Board of Education that goes to the Board of Education meetings. I see Mr. Fleming couldn't even be bothered to stay for the full meeting tonight.
I'm sure he has something important to do.
Okay, well, the council sets its own schedule. And, you know, on that point, I haven't been able to give the meeting my full attention. I apologize. There's also a housing authority meeting going on at the same time, even though I was assured that conflict wouldn't happen again. The library board started its meeting at 5 p.m. tonight, so that's probably why Dr. Belvin wasn't here. And I think the city can do better in terms of coordinating among the different public bodies, so you don't have conflicting meetings where the public has to choose which one to go to. I think that maybe could I ask, I know there's a new liaison to the Housing Authority. Would he be willing to look at the Housing Authority schedule and the City Council schedule and make suggestions for one of the bodies to change their times for future conflicts?
I'm sure he'll bring it up.
Okay, I see him nodding.
I would be happy to inquire.
Okay, I'd appreciate it, just because it certainly puts me in a difficult position, but I think, certainly Mr. Ferguson probably wants to come to the Housing Authority meetings too, since he's the liaison. I do have to ask, question I asked you today on the phone, the council, when was the council informed that New Brunswick was switching from one JIF to the other? I know it was on your last agenda, but it was listed as nunc pro tunc, which means basically like it already happened. The decision happened without council approval, so you're being asked to provide approval after the fact. When was the council informed of this major change?
And if we didn't like it, we wouldn't have approved it because it was not put on. So basically, if we didn't want to approve it, we wouldn't have. But I don't know if it was a Friday before, as I told you, that Monday or Tuesday, somewhere around there. Do you remember, Mr. Jules?
I know that we have been, the term JIF and the function of JIF has come up at just about every meeting that Mr. Crowder has attended at the City Council. And we have been in discussion of the JIF matters. The selection of the insurance and how the insurance works for the city falls under the work that I do and those recommendations. And the council agreed to the contract and stays properly insured. So I really don't keep a log of conversations I have with folks, but I know we've been talking about it here, Charlie.
Yeah. And, the reality is that there are a lot of JIFs out there, and the city had many options for what to do when the MCM JIF failed. I know that you had a council meeting on December 30th at 4 p.m. We were all here. The very next morning, the MCM JIF held an emergency meeting without notice, didn't record the meeting, and decided to release all the members since they said, starting tomorrow, we can't do your insurance anymore. We can't meet our obligations anymore. But the day before, when we were all here, nobody mentioned that, right? Mr. Drules didn't tell you then? He didn't tell the public then? Why? I mean, was he unaware that they were going to have an emergency meeting the next morning at 4 p.m. on December 30th?
I do want to respond that there are 8 JIFs that we reviewed to join, and we chose the mid-JIF. It's a right fit for the city of New Brunswick. As it relates to the emergency matter of the JIF, it's emergent because those things come up on a very brief basis. So as the information became available, we were all informed, the city is properly insured. It's interesting, Mr. Crowder, when you talk about the release of membership, I think you may recall that New Brunswick membership expired in 2024. So although the JIF may have chose to release other members, New Brunswick had already been released under the terms of the 3-year contract that was signed 3 years ago.
I guess what I'm getting at here is the council should have been given some options, the council should have been briefed on this, and the public should have been informed about it too. But none of that happened until after the deed was already done.
It's not the purview or the work of the council to evaluate insurance policies. That's the work of the administration, and we put forth the best options to the council.
Okay. Did you consider JIFs other than ones that are run by Barbara Murphy?
They mentioned that they did, I think, 8.
Yeah, right. She runs like 7 JIFs, I think. So did you consider ones other than Barbara's JIFs?
I have.
They did.
Okay. And did you coordinate with the other towns? Because at first it was like you were all going to leave and go to the same one, but then Millstone bailed. Was there coordination?
Mr. Crowder, I suggest you take these questions up at JIF meeting. This is New York City Council.
Right.
When's the next JIF meeting? There's no members.
There's a mid-JIF meeting.
Oh, the mid-JIF. I'll be there. You can count on that. And
Thank you,
yeah.
Mr. Crowder.
Thanks for hearing me out.
Anyone else? Yes.
Good evening, council members. Carlos Ramirez, reporter with New Brunswick Today. I want to start it off by congratulating whoever installed those barriers on Jersey Avenue. where they're tearing down the buildings. I saw a bunch of mattresses, garbage, you name it. They were clustered there. I see there's barriers now, so that's pretty good. I've mentioned before certain ideas where the city can publicize on its social media on how to do certain things or who to reach out when they need to throw trash out or they have concerns with water, electricity, or any type of concerns. I think we've spoken about that before, that like you mentioned, reach out to these parties before you come to city council. I've done that. I've gotten through with many requests done. The other thing, I know we were talking about last time with the parking on the snow, you put cones, reserving your spot, it's legal. Call PD to do it. That's what I meant, yeah. To call police if somebody has cones blocking public street, they come out, we've seen them, no real citations, but you know, the fact that they're coming out and telling people not to put that. It's good, I saw that get posted on the city's website, got done. That's great. Now, I had another idea, maybe the city can post, you know, the city's logos with each department if people have inquiries on how to throw the trash out with all these huge mattresses or furniture or type of things. Other cities, you have to wait till their cleanup comes around. New Brunswick doesn't. You can call them and they'll tell you, yeah, wrap it, throw it out next weekend or your trash pickup. So that's really great and convenient. The other thing is, you know, we have different key spots where people just go and dump their mattresses and stuff like that. Maybe bringing in some type of mobile camera station, placing it out there so they stop doing that. I know I had an incident near my home where somebody came and threw a mattress out. I posted on Facebook telling them they did not come pick it up. I was going to post their license plates and their face. Rest assured that mattress was picked up that same night and they took it away. It was a commercial vehicle that came and picked it up and took it away, so I got that done. So yeah, I think if we went out there and posted on the social media pages we have with each logo of the department, both Spanish and English, what they do and what they offer to the city so that way they know who to call. Similar with different resources and nonprofit organizations that help within the city, whether it be feeding the homeless or advocating on renters and other people. So I think those type of organizations as well, I don't know what the city works with them, but I've seen many resources out there from both Recto Esperanza, Unity Square, Elijah's Promise. So, you know, it'd be cool to see on the city's website, you know, what type of resources are out there so people can not only call for themselves, but for any other people that might not have access to the internet or a cell phone to reach out for these assistance. So I think that would be a pretty good thing to see out there on the social media platforms that we have. Thank you.
I'm sure the city website will take care of all that. Anyone else who hasn't gone? Seeing none?
Motion to adjourn.
Second. Councilmember Ferguson.
Yes.
Councilmember Fleming. It has left early. We started early. Councilmember Gaskins. Councilmember Secor Ludwig. Council Vice President Castañeda.
Yes.
Council President Anderson.
Yes.